All right. We are the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Started out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Under commanding Junior YAHANNA. It's Friday. Today is the I.S.U.P.K class. And we're going to do a continuation from where we left off last class. We're going to get more in detail with breaking down pronouns in the present tense, past tense, and future tense. If you've been tuning in for the past couple of classes, we broke down the entire Lord's Prayer in context using pronouns, prefixes. Using prefixes and suffixes. Now we're going to get into being able to digest it even further by using the pronouns. All right. And we're gonna formulate like basic sentences, and then I might pull like a couple of scriptures at the end to give context to show you in the Bible how the prefix and suffix that we've already gone over and the pronouns are used interchangeably to give context to a word, a root word. Okay, so we start off our class like we start off every class with the Hebrew alphabet. All right, repeat after me. Ah, ba, ga, da, ha, ba, za, ha, ta, ya, ka, la, ma, na, sa, I, kwa, ra, sh, and th. All right. So let me move this a little closer. So it's very, very, very important. Just like I was talking about the prefixes and suffixes for you to get this, because like they're used constantly over and over and over again. They give a context to a word, right? With the prefix and suffix, it's kind of like ed added onto a word. Ed doesn't have any definition, but if you know ed is added to a word, it gives past tense. It gives context to the root word, right? Like saying laughed, right? So the root word is laugh, which is something that you do currently, but you say I laughed, it's past tense. Ed is a suffix. It doesn't actually have a definition, but added onto a root word, it makes it past tense. Okay, so the same thing with prefixes and suffixes. Now, also what gives present tense, past tense, and future tense are pronouns, right? Okay, so we're gonna go over a couple of them. We'll go over these. It's like 2 of them that's not up here. Once I go through these, I'll write the 2 up there. All right. So, Paleo Ancient Phoenician Hebrew, Assyrian Hebrew. All right. So, Anya means I. Okay. So, whenever you're saying a sentence like I am doing something, you would say Anya, right? Okay, so like I would say like Anya Amar, right? Or I'll say Anya wa Amar, and I know wa Anya Amar, and I said, right? So that gives context to the word, right? You have a tha, right? A tha is you, like Barak a tha, bless you, right? Hawa'a, right? Is he, right? Speaking in third person, right? You have Haya'a, which is she, speaking in third person, like speaking about someone. You have Anak Noah, right? Which means we, right? All right. You have a thumb, right? A thumb is you, masculine, plural. So just like in the greeting, like if I were to come in, I would greet a group of brothers. Shalom Yahabashim Baraka. Shalom Yahabashim Shah Baraka. Thumb, right? Thumb is plural when I'm talking to a group of men, right? Same thing with a thon. When I come in, I'm greeting a group of sisters. Shalom Yahweh Shamar Elathan Hashem Yahweh Shah, right? Okay. Versus if I'm just talking to them singular, Shalom Yahweh Shem Shah Brakatah, or Shalom Yahweh Shamar Elatah Hashem Yahweh Shah, right? So these things give context if you're talking to a group or singular. Okay, so we have two more. All right, you're copying online. I'm gonna erase these top two right here and add the next two. So if you're still copying this down here, you can write that down. All right. Boom. All right. Got it. They, masculine. You have that's fine. All right. So the last two that we have, right? We have right? Is it's already plural, right? It's talking about they, masculine, okay? And Han, all right, is they, feminine, all right? Take a moment, copy this down, and we're gonna move forward, all right? So we're gonna deal with the present tense first, right? So this is the first thing that we're gonna deal with. So everybody know what we talking about. We're gonna deal with the present tense first. All right. Everybody should pretty much have that copy down. All right. Okay. All right. Let's see. All right. So, all right. So we're going to be dealing with the present tense. All right. Present tense, or to be in Hebrew, is haya, right? All right. Okay. So, we're going to start off with Anya. All right. I'm just going to Write it. All right. So you got Anya, which equals I, whether masculine or feminine, right? And you have Shamar. All right. Now there's a rule. Shamar means to watch. Right. Now, when you're dealing with Anya, the rule is you add a wa between the first and second letter of the root word. All right. So in this case, in Anya, it's not going to be Shamar, it's going to be Sha Wa Mar, which means watching. That makes this present tense. Okay. So the sentence would be Anya Sha Wa Mar, which means I am, which is implied, watching. All right. So we're going to do it piece by piece. So we're starting off with Anya, I, right? Okay. So when you're dealing with I, all right, the rule is you add a wa between the first and second letter. Okay. Give me a different color here. So that's what was added, right? The wa was added between the first letter, sha, and the second letter, ma, right? To make it present tense. Because the root word is shamar, which means watch. But to make it present tense, it's an action. So you have to put the wa between the first and second letters. So shawamar means watching. And the sentence would be Anya shawamar, which means I am watching. The M is implied. But Hebrew is a direct language, so I mean it's I watching. All right. So, all right, we'll move on to the next one. Everybody got that? Is there a question online? No questions. All right, no sweat. All right. So for those just joining in, we're going a little bit deeper. We're doing pronouns, dealing with the present tense first. All right. So the next one we're going to do. The next one we're going to do is a thigh. All right. So with the thigh, the same rule applies. Okay. The thigh means you. All right. And it can be masculine or plural. We're dealing with the word shamar, right? And just like before, all right, the rule is you add a wa between the first and second letter of the root word to make it present tense. So this sentence would be Atha Shawamar, which means you implied are watching. Okay? The are is implied. That's implied English, all right, which you would call embellishment. English puts filler words where there aren't any words because Hebrew is a very masculine tongue. It's very blunt. It's very direct. Like, woman, come now, sit here, instead of sweetheart, if you could, come sit right here next to me. They didn't say that. Woman, come now, sit. That's it. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, shoot, this, I mean, how we talking to UPK? You understand? Shema! Shaquat! So, all right. So, so that's a thigh. A thigh means you. All right. And the rules is to add the word between the first and the second letter, right, to make it present tense. So, a thigh shawamar is you are watching. Yes, sir.
I had a question on this. I think you've been at something I forgot about it.
Mm-hmm.
It popped up in my head. So, with the Hebrew language, is it possible to have more than one English word for a Hebrew word? For instance, I've seen other sisters with the name like Storm or like Whirlwind.
Mm-hmm.
It's different from, like, because I named my rib after like Storm, right?
Mm-hmm.
I named her Quiet Storm, which is Quiet Power Pie. From what I looked in the Blue Letter Bible, it translated to Power Pie. But I've also seen other names of that nature, like Storm or Whirlwind or Tempest, with a different Hebrew name. Is it possible to? Is that possible, or did I,
Yeah, I mean, so like it's so like prime example, right? Uh, so like the bar means word, right? But Amar can also mean word, but it's in context meaning speak or speech, right? So there are different words um, that have same contextual meanings, but it all depends on the context of how it's used, right? So like there are like four different words for like lion in the Hebrew. Um, uh, Ariyah is one of them. I forgot what the other one is, but it's another one. But it means like an old lion, like a wise, like mean like an elder, right? So depending on the context, like 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 I could say warrior debar, right? Warrior debar amar, and the word said, right? But the root word is debar, right? Like if you typed in warrior debar, nothing's gonna come up, right? Because it's a prefix and a suffix, it gives context to it, right? And it contains the orientation of a word, just like putting ed at the end of a word. So the short answer to your question is yes. All right, no sweat, no sweat. I on the bar. All right. So the next one we're going to deal with. All right. Sorry. This is you masculine. All right. Okay. So the same rule applies. All right. So now, if you want to say you feminine in a sentence, remember everything is context. All right. So you're gonna put Y between the first and the second letter of the word, and you're going to add I at the end. All right. So when you're dealing with feminine, right? All right. It's going to be shawamar ah, right? So same sentence, a tha, but we're going to add a ah at the end. All right. So when you're saying you in a feminine sense, like when you're talking to a woman, you're going to say atha shawamara, right? The ah at the end of the word makes it feminine. That gives context. That's a suffix. All right. A suffix is giving context and is changing the orientation of the word. The root word is shamar, right? Now we have different forms of shamar now. We have shawamar. Now we have shawamara. Okay. But it's all giving you the same context on the word watch. Okay. And that goes back into the brother's question. Right. So you got different forms of the same word. All right. Okay. Next one we're gonna do he. All right. He has the same principle. Hawa, which is he. All right. And with hawa, same thing. You add a wa between the first and the second word. All right. So the sentence would be hawa shawamar. Okay. Which means he, implied English, is watching. Okay. All right. Hawa'a shawamar is he, implied, is watching. Okay. All right. So remember, when you're dealing with non-plural forms and speaking in third person singular, right? You're only going to add a wa in between the first and the second word. And the only caveat to that is when you're dealing with the feminine you, you're going to add a ah at the end. All right. You're going to see the same thing because now we're going to do she. All right. Which is haya'a. All right. Same thing applies. Add a ah at the end. All right. Why? Because it's feminine. Okay. So now the sentence is haya'a shawamar'a, which is she, implied, is watching. Right? She is watching. Okay. So remember, when you're dealing with third person singular form, masculine or feminine, is always going to be a wa between the first and the second letter. But the caveat is the in the feminine sense, it's always going to add a "ah" at the end of it to give context to let you know that it's feminine. All right. So you got that. All right. So now we're going to move forward to we. All right. We is both masculine and feminine. All right. All right. Okay. So we is not know why. Right? Which is we. All right. So now when caveat to the rule when you're dealing with pluralities, right? You add the same thing, you add a "wa" between the first and second letter. But the caveat in this instance is you put "yum" at the end. All right. Okay. So sentence would be a knock, Noah, Shawamarium, right? Which means we implied are watching. Okay. So now we've had four different forms of the same word. You have shamar, you have shawamar, you have shawamar and now you have shawamarium. Okay. So remember, suffixes and prefixes give context to the word, right? Okay. Let you know if it's past tense, present tense. Give context if it's in the first person, second person, or the third person, right? So when you're dealing with pluralities, right, you're gonna always it's the same thing. You're gonna add "what" between the first and the second letter, but you're gonna add "yum" at the end. Okay. All right. So same thing, right? All right. Now we're going to deal with you, masculine plural, which is a thumb. All right. All right. So the sentence would be a thumb shawamarium. All right, which is in Texas, how we like to say, y'all. Are watching. You all are watching in a masculine sense, in a plurality, right? You know, in Texas, we say y'all. Get along, y'all. So a thumb is the masculine plural form of you, right? So plural is a group of people, right? So that's why we talking to y'all, right? Okay. So it would be a thumb, shawamarium, which means y'all are watching. So I'm talking to a group of men, right? Now, let's deal with, we're talking about women. All right. Cut my finger. All right. So when you're dealing with women and it's a plurality, so you can distinguish between masculine and feminine, you put a Y at the end instead of a yum. All right. All right. So the sentence would be a thon shawamar wa. Y'all are watching. That would be if I was talking to you sisters, right? I would say a thon shawamar wa, right? Because wa adds plurality, but from a feminine sense. Like Malak means king, right? Okay. Now, kingdom is Malak wa, right? Because kingdom is a plural sense. It's a vast city, right? But the reason why it's feminine is because it's something that a king rules over, which is why it's feminine. Okay. All right. So this is you, feminine, plural. All right. Now, we're gonna do they, masculine, plural. Which is fine. All right, now let's see if y'all been paying attention. If it's masculine plural, what do you add at the end of it? Young, correct. All right. So the sentence would be Han. Sorry. All right. No, Shawamariam. All right, which is they are watching. Shawamariam. All right. So now we're going to deal with the feminine sense of it. All right. Now, when it's feminine plural, what do you add at the end? Y. Correct. All right. So the sentence would be Han Shawamar Y. They are watching. Okay. So now you have the basic premise of present tense, right? So whenever you're reading a sentence, right? So these are the different forms of the word shamar, right? You had shamar, you had shawamar, right? You had you had shamar, you had shawamar, you had shawamara, right? Then you had shawamar yum, and you have shawamar wa, right? Okay. Now you dealt with the present tense. Can I get a time check, please?
Oh, 8:18.
No, sir. Now we've dealt with the the present tense. Now we're going to deal with the past tense. All right. All right. And I bar. So past. In Hebrew, I bar. All right. So we're going to start from the beginning. Let's see, what word we use? All right. We're going to do a new word. The new word that we're going to be using is lamad, which means to learn. Okay. Okay. So now, when dealing with past tense, right? Okay. You add a ya at the end. All right. So the first thing we're starting off with is, of course, Anya, which means I. Okay. So remember, you add a ya at the end. All right. So the sentence would be Anya Lamad ya, which means I learn. Okay. All right. Oh, and this is for masculine and feminine. All right. The word that we're using is Anya. Anya means I. The word that we're doing different contexts on is the word lamad, which means to learn. All right. So in the case of singular or third person, not plural, right? You would add a ya at the end. So the sentence is Anya lamad ya, right? Which is I learned, past tense. Okay. All right. Now we're going to move on to the next one. Go ahead.
Where it says Lamar job, right under where it says Lamar, it says, does that say watching?
I'm sorry.
Where it says Lamar, it says you can learn.
Mm-hmm.
And then right under it, it says Lamar job, equals watching.
It's all about context, right? So like if you look up two letter, right? Um, every word has a numeration of meaning, right? So like if you look up the bar, it can mean letter, it can mean word, uh, forgot whatever, but it's like five other contexts of it. So it's all about how it's being used in the sentence, right? Okay. So Anya, and again, this also gives it context, the pronoun. All right. Anya lamataya. All right, which means I learned. Okay. All right. Now we're going to do you masculine. All You is a thigh. All right. With you masculine, a thigh, the same rule applies. All right. You're just gonna add a thaya at the end of the word. So the sentence would be a thigh lamad thaya, which means you learn. Talking to a man. All right. Okay. Now we're going to do the feminine tense of a thought, right? So just like when we're doing present tense, what's going to be at the end is going to change, all right? So when it's feminine, all right, you're going to add a ha at the end of the word, okay? All right. So the sentence would be Atha lamad ha, right? When you're talking to a woman, you learn, all right? So remember, there's always a caveat in the feminine sense, all right? So the feminine sense in this case, just like we were dealing with the present tense, all right, is ha, okay? All right, got that? All right, good. Now, we're going to deal with he. Which is ha, wa, a. It's he, which is masculine. All right. So when you're dealing with masculine, what do you add at the end? Go ahead. But yeah. All right. All right. So the sentence would be Hawa'a lamataya, which is he learned. All right. Make sure there's no questions on YouTube. All right. Okay. All right. So now we're going to deal with she. All right. When it's feminine, what goes at the end? In past tense. Ha. All right. So it's going to be Haya Lamad Ha, which means she learned. Okay? Got it? All right, good, good, good. All right. Now it's gonna get tricky. All right. All right, now we're dealing with we. Not the what? We. Masculine or feminine. You add a Noah at the end. Now this should look familiar to you as an ending of a word. Anybody want to take a stab at where they've heard this ending? Noah?
If I could, sir, I believe it's in the Lord's Prayer.
Yes, it is.
Is it,
First off, Abanawa. All right. Shabbat Shemayim, Wadash, Ayah, Shemka, Balak with Ka. You understand? You have Tabayai now, Kabawaki now. You understand? Same thing, the Thanawa. All right. So our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come in earth as is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Give us our debts, which is past, all right, as we forgive our debtors, future tense, right? So this is still breaking down the Lord's Prayer, okay? So you can use these notes that we're going over today of present tense, past tense, and future tense, and add it to the lesson we did with the prefix and suffixes, breaking down the Lord's Prayer even further. Okay? So we still on breaking down the Lord's Prayer. Okay? All right? Okay? So, we're dealing with we, a knock Noah. All right? So we're dealing with the past tense. You're going to add a Noah at the end of the word. So a knock Noah, lamad Noah. Kind of rhymes, don't it? All right? A knock Noah, lamad Noah. We learn. Okay? All right? Okay? We're going to move on to you, masculine plural. Now, when you're dealing with you in a masculine plural sense, all right, you add thumb at the end. So a thumb, lamad, thumb. Y'all learn. Talking about a group of men. All right, we're talking about the Akim. You would say a thumb, lamad, thumb, which means y'all learn. All right. Okay. Now we're going to deal with you in the feminine sense. What you say, brother? Oh, go ahead. Right. So you in a feminine plural sense is a thun. Right? So just like the masculine plural sense, it was a thumb. So the word that you're going to add on to the end would be thun. Right? See, it's not that hard. Right? It's a pattern. Okay? So the good thing is when you're dealing with past tense, the pronoun used lets you know what to use at the end. Right? When you're dealing with we, anak noah, you'll put noah at the end. Lamad noah. Right? When you're dealing with the masculine plural form of you, a thumb, which is y'all, right? You're going to put thumb at the end. It would be a thun, lamad thun. All right? When you're dealing with the female plural sense, which is a thun, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to put thun at the end of the word. Lamad thun. So it'd be a thun, lamad thun. Okay? All right, which is y'all learn. Okay. Let's see. All right. And for they, both masculine and plural, it'll be the same thing. All right. So when you're dealing with they, no matter if it's masculine or plural, I mean masculine or feminine, right? You're going to add a wa at the end. All right. So no matter if it's lamadwa or han lamadwa, it's they learn. No matter if it's masculine or feminine. The way you know that it's masculine or feminine is by the pronoun that leads it in this case. right? So if it's hum, it's masculine, hum lamadwa. If it's han, it's feminine, han lamadwa. All right. Now let's see if we can get through the future tense. Can I get a time check, please? Woo! Don't cut it close. Don't try and do it though. Gotta move over. All right. Now we're dealing with the future tense. All right. So we're gonna start off all over again. We're gonna use Anya, which is I, masculine or feminine. We're gonna use Shamar again. Oh, slot you. We are dealing with future. All right. Which is I.S.U.P.K in the Hebrew. All right, so we're dealing with the future tense in the Hebrew, aytayad, right? We're going to use shamar again, which means to watch. All right. Okay, so all right. So when it's anya and we're dealing with aytayad, the future tense, right? You're going to add a at the beginning of the word. All right. So the sentence will go Anya the shamar, which means I will watch, which is Ayat, which is future tense. All right. So back to the beginning, Anya, which is I, masculine or feminine. We're reusing the word shamar, which means to watch. All right. So in the future tense, you want to add a the at the beginning of the word. So shamar. So the sentence would be Anya shamar, which means I will watch. Okay. All right. Same thing with you. All right. Same thing with you. Dealing with the masculine, you masculine. So you, nobody's watching. The, you, right? Same thing applies. You're going to add a the at the beginning, which will be a the shamar, which is you will watch. Okay. Now, what if it's feminine? If it's feminine, you're going to add a ya at the end. All right. So if it's feminine, you're going to add a ya at the end. So if it's a the in the feminine sense, right, the way you're going to know that it's feminine is by adding a ya at the end. So the sentence would be a tha shamaria, right? Which means you will watch, talking to a group of women. Okay? All right. Now we're going to move on to yes, sir.
So this is not singular?
This is still singular.
Oh, okay, because you said a group of women, so I didn't know.
I'm sorry. We're talking to a woman. Salaki, my bad. So Shamaria is when you're talking to a woman. Thank you for that correction, brother.
Okay.
All right. So let's move on. So Now we're going to deal with he. All right. Now, when it's a he, you add a ya at the beginning, right? Ya shamar. All right. So the sentence will be Hawa'a ya shamar, which is he will watch. All right. Ya shamar means he will watch. All right. Sorry, Hawa'a ya shamar means he will watch. You add a ya to the beginning of shamar, let you know it's dealing with a man. All right. Now, we're dealing with she, right? When it's she, you put, you put a the in the beginning. All right. Okay. Feminine. All right. So, Haya the shamar is she will watch. Okay. All right. Okay. Now we're gonna deal with we. This is for masculine or feminine. Dealing with we, not, nawa, right? All right. So when we're dealing with we, masculine or feminine, you're going to put a na at the beginning of the word. So the sense would be anak noah na shamar. We will watch. Okay? You're going to put a not. It's kind of just like when we're dealing with the past tense. You know by the pronoun what you should put in front of the adjective. All right. So you have anak noah. You put na at the beginning of the word. Anak noah na shamar. All right. Now we're going to get into you, masculine plural. So when it's you, masculine plural, put a tha in the beginning. All right. So it's going to be a thumb tha shamar, which means y'all will watch. Talking about a group of men. Way you know what you're talking about a group of men when tha's in the beginning by the pronoun, a thumb shamar. All right. Now we're going to deal with the feminine sense of you. Which is a thun, dealing with feminine plural. All right, it's the same thing. You're going to have a th at the beginning, but the caveat is you're going to have a na at the end. All right, so it's going to be tha shamarna. Right? So the sense would be Athan Shamarna, right? Which is y'all will watch, talking to a group of women dealing with Aythayad, the future tense. All right? Athan Shamarna. All right? Okay? All right, now we're going to deal with they. They, masculine plural. which is right? All right. When it's they, masculine plural, you put a ya at the beginning and a wa at the end. So the sentence would be Yashamarwa. All right. Where you're dealing with they in a masculine plural sense when you're talking about a group of men. Saying they will watch is Yashamarwa. All right. Everybody got it? All right, good. Told you get tricky. All right. All right. So now we're going to talk about they in the feminine plural sense, talking about a group of women, which is Han. All right. You're going to put a the and a na. You're going to put a the in the beginning and a na at the end. All right. So that sentence will be Han Tashamarna, which is they will watch, talking about a group of women. All right. So Han is they in the feminine plural sense, talking about a group of women. And the rule is you're going to add a the in the beginning of the word and a na at the end. So that's Tashamarna. So the sentence again is Han Tashamarna. They will watch. All right. According to the time, it is now 9:04, which completes our time for this Lashawan Kodash class for Friday. All right. Tune in next week when we will begin to start going over the qual stem, dealing with the simplest form of a word and formulating a sentence. And we'll be incorporating the prefixes and the suffixes, the pronouns, past tense, present tense, past tense, and future tense, formulating a sentence. So you can use what you learned today to further break down the Lord's Prayer, which was a 3-part class when we were doing the prefix and suffix, to get further understanding in what tense the Lord's Prayer is in. All right. So I encourage you to review over the past 3 lessons or review over your notes. If you've been following us, we've been breaking down the Lord's Prayer using the present tense, past tense, and future tense breakdown of pronouns. All right. With that, Shalom, Yahweh Hashem, Yahshua Brakathum to the brothers, and Yahweh Shamar Ilathan by Hashem Yahweh Shah to the sisters. Shalom.